Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, good morning to you all, and kindly let me know in the chat box if I'm audible and if I'm visible today. And I hope everything goes all right. So, guys, this is lecture number 9 for RBI Grade B Phase 2 Descriptive English, and we have discussed all your questions ranging from essay writing, then we also discussed essay writing in the previous few sessions, and today we will be starting with reading comprehension part. So, guys, do let me know if I'm audible and if I'm visible to everyone. Good morning, dear. Thank you, Vinci. So, guys, I hope the preparations are on track, and I hope you heard the news yesterday that the 2000 rupee note has been put out of circulation by RBI. Right. So see, you need to be updated with such topics, such issues, so that it's a potential essay topic for this year. Why not? Right. So what policies RBI is undertaking to to decide such changes or such overhaul of the of these systems. So yeah. So see, that's my job to tell you that yes, this is a potential topic for this year. So you should know everything about demonetization 1.0 and 2.0. That's what these news anchors are calling it. Uh, so we'll put it in the book list, right? All right. Good morning, Bhuvan. Hello, Chandradeep. Hello, Narayan. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the session. And I hope we'll make use of this Saturday to try prepare for a descriptive English. So let's begin with the session. So the agenda for this session, for today's session is, first of all, we'll discuss the fundamentals, the basics of reading comprehension. Then I'll also talk about a few mistakes, very frequently made mistakes in the paper. And then I'll also share with you the previous year reading comprehension passage along with the sample answers for that passage for the questions. But before all that, let's start by understanding the psychology of reading comprehension. Now, what I mean by psychology of reading comprehension, guys, see, they already asked you reading comprehension in phase 1, right? So my question is, why are they again asking you reading comprehension in phase 2? See, the basic difference between RC in phase 1 and RC in phase 2. So what's the difference, underlying difference, and how you need to undertake that separately? I mean, what is the difference between them? So RC in phase 1, it has MCQs based on the premises of the passage or the information of the passage. So reading comprehension in phase 1 is based on on factual data, inferential information that is given in the passage. So you have to read the questions, find out the answers for the questions, and mark the right choice out of the given choices, right? So that is about phase 1. But in phase 2, you are again given reading comprehension, but this is not multiple choice questions. These are descriptive questions. So this is what you need to understand. The first difference is you will be given descriptive questions, and you'll have to be writing your answers elaboratively. You'll be typing your answers in a paragraph manner or in a point wise manner. So that is the first difference, right? And what difference does this entail? Now, obviously reading the passage is the same, but in reading comprehension in phase 1, you have to just find that one line or a couple of lines where your answer is given, right? But in reading comprehension in phase 2, it's not just one line or a couple of lines that you need to find out. You would be required to collate points. You would be required to read the whole passage and collate points from different paragraphs. I'll give you an example. Let's say if they give you a question, what are the different steps and measures taken by the government to revive the rural economy? And the whole passage talks about revival of rural economy, the input that has been put in by the government and the stakeholders. It talks about let's say Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, Jan Dhan Yojana in another passage. So you would be required to take out points from all the all the paragraphs and then put them together in your original words and then present it articulatively, elaboratively. So that is the difference. So you would be required to collate sentences, collate points from the passage and then present your answer in an original and elaborative way. And you'll have to elaborate your answers. So that is the bigger difference here. This requires your drafting skills, obviously your command over the language, your inference power, and then your presentation skills, how you present your answers, your points originally, right? So that is about the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. So let's understand the psychology behind descriptive reading comprehension. What is the psychology, right? What do they want to test and what are they looking for? So let's read the answer, guys. What is the psychology behind descriptive reading comprehension? Now, reading comprehension is the perception, right? How you perceive the answer, making sense of and comprehension of written matters in more clear words. It is to cognize in all respects the information, feeling and thoughts that are desired to be transmitted. So basically, guys, whatever has been conveyed by the author has to be redefined by you in your own words without changing the the meaning, the feeling and the thoughts that have been put in by the author. So there is something called reading between the lines and understanding what does the author want to convey, and you have to grasp that and then present it in your own words. So it is a way to cognize in all respects the information, the feeling and the thought that are desired to be transmitted as they are, without having caused any misunderstanding in its course. Because reading comprehension requires effective utilization of cognitive structure, how you how you basically perceive the answer, how you get to the point and then present it. Now cognitive hypothesis focus more on the perceptive skills, how you perceive the answer, your memory, how you memorize it as you go along reading the passage, and the strategies required to perform mental operations, how you present your answer. So it is written in a sense which may seem a little maybe tricky to you, a little trickier to you, but in simple terms, see guys, you have to interpret the feelings, the inherent meaning of the author. See, you may feel anything else about the topic, you may have your own information about the topic, and definitely you would, but the point is you do not need to be presenting your own opinion there. You would be required to read the information and relay that information in your own words as the author has presented in the passage. Now that information has to be collated and put together to convey the information given in the passage in your own words, which should not include any idea, any information beyond the passage. It should not be copy and paste from the passage. Also, it has to be original, it has to be elaborated, and it has to be presented in your own words. So that is the whole point here. So I'll honestly would like to point out the difference between Pressy writing and reading comprehension. See guys, in Pressy also you are given a passage, and in reading comprehension also you are given a passage. These two passages are separate, different, right? So what is the difference between inherent difference between Pressy writing and reading comprehension? So let me put it in simple terms. Pressy writing is about contraction skills, how well you comprehend and how well you contract the passage organically, right? Finding out the gist of the passage and crux of the passage and then putting that in your own words. That is called Pressy writing. But reading comprehension is almost opposite to this. Reading comprehension is not about contraction skills or just finding the answer. Reading comprehension is about elaboration skills. You need to understand, you would be given at least 4 or 5 questions on reading comprehension, right? And those 4 or 5 questions would be worth 40 marks out of 100. So 40 marks for 4 questions or 5 questions, that means every question is for 8 mark or 10 marks, right? So for a 8 mark question or a 10 mark question, you need to understand there is a certain word limit that you need to reach, right? So see, for guys, for example, for a 10 mark answer, if you write only 2 sentences, although your answer is absolutely correct, but you'll not fetch good marks because You need to understand the psychology of the evaluator. What he wants to see how well you elaborate your points. Now, then comes the question, sir, if there is only limited information in the passage, now what would we do then? Obviously, that is where the problem is, right? You would be required to elaborate your points. I'll give you a simple example. And guys, please do let me know if you agree with me. So, for example, there was a sentence given in the passage that for the revival of the rural economy, the government has allocated 20,000 crore rupees in the upcoming budget, right? So the sentence was, for the revival of the rural economy, the government has allocated 20,000 crore rupees in the upcoming budget. So let's say this was the information given in the passage, and let's say there was a question saying that, okay, what are the steps and measures taken by the government to revive the rural economy? So you feel, sir, there is only one sentence on in this context, and what can we write? How can we make a 10-mark answer out of this? So I'll show you a simple example of elaboration. So what I would do there is, I would probably make 2 or 3 sentences out of this given one sentence. So what I would present in my answer is, there are many measures that have been put in place by the central authorities or the government with respect to the revival of the rural economy, right? So that would be my first sentence. That is the introductory sentence. Then I would start with the point, that was the information that was given in the passage. So then I would start a momentous decision, or a historic decision, or let's say a crucial decision has been taken by the government or has been taken by the authorities to provide monetary support to the rural economy. That would be my first sentence. Second sentence would be, under this decision, the government has allocated 20,000 crore rupees for the upliftment of the poor people in the country in the upcoming budget, right? That would be my second sentence. And third sentence would be, with this step, the government intends to provide necessary push or necessary impetus to the revival, or to the let's say rejuvenation, or let's say regrowth, or restructuring of the economic sector of the country. So what I did here is, I just took that one sentence, added an introductory sentence before it, and made 3 sentences out of it. So that makes it, that is what we call elaboration. And there was nothing that I added into it. Am I right, guys? There was nothing I added into it in my own opinion, or anything beyond the passage. So nothing beyond the passage was added into this information, right? But what I just did was, I just created an answer out of one sentence. So guys, can you understand this? Do you get this, what I mean by elaboration, and how we need to elaborate without adding any any information that is not given, or that cannot be inferred from the passage, that is not to be put in the answer, right? But you still need elaboration. So this is where your creativity kicks in. This is where your articulation will play a lot of role. Your drafting skills, how well you comprehend, and then how elaborative you are. So that was the difference I wanted to highlight, the underlying difference between précis writing and reading comprehension answers. So précis writing is about contraction skills, whereas reading comprehension is about elaboration skills. So there are certain key points that you need to remember when you are reading your passage, or when you are trying your reading comprehension answers. So first is to read between the lines. So I hope everyone knows what reading between the lines mean, right? What does it mean? It means you need to be able to understand the inherent idea or thought that has been professed by the author in the passage. So if they're saying the government has allocated 20,000 crore rupees for the rural economy in the upcoming budget. So you need to understand why this information has been put in the passage. This information basically conveys that the government is taking steps towards the upliftment or revival, or for the betterment of the rural sector of the country, right? That has been conveyed by this sentence. Now, so we don't see it written anywhere. So that is what we call reading between the lines. What is not clearly mentioned in the sentences, that has to be understood by you. The purpose, or the author, the author's purpose of writing the passage. That is what is called to read between the lines. What is reading between the lines? To understand the the meaning of the conveyance of what has been conveyed by the author, right? Second is to infer and collate information in the passage. whatever information that has been given in the passage, that has to be inferred and then collated, that it needs to be put together to present your answer from the passage. So that is very important skill that we need to develop. Then we need to be original in our articulation. That means we cannot copy and paste sentences as it is, as they are in the passage. So you need to present them in your own form, in your own way, in your own words, right? But that should also, at the same point of time, that should also not change the meaning of the sentence, or it should not change the intent of the sentence. I'll give you an example. What I have seen students doing is, let's say it was given the government has pushed pushed infrastructure into the roots of the country. So please listen to this carefully, guys. Let's say the sentence was given, the government has pushed infrastructure facilities to the roots into the roots of the country. And what if a student, what he does is, in the paper, if he writes the government should build up infrastructure facilities in the rural areas of the country. Now that changes the meaning of the whole sentence altogether. See, in the passage it was given the government has pushed infrastructure. That means it has already been done. But when you are right, if you write that the government should do this, that means it has not been done and you are suggesting something. So that will change the meaning of the intent of the author, or what you are giving there, and that is wrong. That should not be done. So I do not mean by original words that you are creating something that is not even mentioned, or that is not even inferred from the passage. It has to be on the lines of the passage. It has to be based on the inference of the passage, but it has to be presented in your own words, right? And you should be able to elaborate. So these are the 4 key points that I could think of when you are trying your reading comprehension. To read between the lines, that means to understand the intent of the author. Then to infer and collate information from the passage. That is very important, and I'll teach you in the next few sessions how to do that. Then to be original in your articulation, and then to be able to elaborate. Please look at the previous year paper. Abhi, I'll show you the previous year passage, Priyankush Morang, and you'll be able to gauge how difficult the passage is, right? So I'll just show you after some time. I'll show you the previous year question, and you can just look at it, right, and decide for yourself. Now there are certain key points that I wanted to start with. So guys, when you are practicing reading comprehension passages on your own, the first thing that you would you should start practicing is reverse reading. Now reverse reading is by far considered the most impactful trick for reading comprehension. We always suggest this, even for phase 1, where you are looking for multiple choice questions, and even for phase 2, where you are looking for inferential answers or descriptive answers. What is reverse reading? What do I mean by reverse reading? You have to read the questions based on the passage before reading the passage. That is reverse reading. So you always start by reading the questions first, so that you get to know what you have to look for in the passage, right? And you would probably have some idea inside your head, okay, what you would be presenting in your answer. So I'll give you an idea. Let's say there were 4 questions. Question number 1, let's say it said, what were the consequences of the LPG reforms on the Indian economy in the recent years, right? Second, what were the predominant reasons of let's say poor growth in the Indian agriculture sector before 1990s, right? Question number 3 was, let's say, what can be understood in the from the passage, how the Indian economy has fared over the last 75 years. And question number 4, let's say, was what steps and measures have been put in place by the recent government to fight the inflation and poverty in the country. So let's say these were the 4 questions that were given to you. So see, if you just read these questions, you would be able to infer, you would be able to understand, okay, I can understand the whole passage probably would revolve around Indian economy and the state of Indian economy in the past 75 years, right? That is the broader sense that we can gauge from this. Now, the other thing that we need to understand is we need to mark the keywords in the questions and memorize them. So what are the keywords? LPG reforms, right? then predominance of poverty before 1990s. So predominance poverty before 1990, that would be my keyword. Question number 3, what are the reasons of let's what was the question? I just forgot. The question was, let's say, what are the recent measures taken by the recent government, right? So now this would be my keyword. So when I know my keyword and when I know what I would be reading, now I'm mentally a lot more prepared to face the passage, right? I know what is going to be discussed. I almost know what all would be there in the passage. So I'm almost 50% mentally prepared for the passage already, right? And I know my keywords. So how the keywords, memorizing keywords help you? Now, see, if you do not read the questions before the passage, and if you just start by reading the passage, right? So what happens is you tend to waste time. And how do you do that? You read the whole passage, very intently, very keenly. But when you come to the question, let's say you come to question number 1, okay, what were the what were the impacts of LPG reforms on Indian economy? So you think, yes, I did read about all the impacts of LPG reforms, but I have to go back to the re-refer to the passage and then look again and see if I do not miss anything, right? That is where you are wasting your time. So if you're doing it, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, so if you're reading the passage, you are re-referring to the passage 5 times, you are wasting your time. And that is what we do not want in this paper, because we do not have the luxury of time in this, right? So to fight this, we need to start with a smart approach, right? So read your questions first and memorize the keywords, so that when you are reading the passage, your aim should be to read the passage in one go. You do not have to read it again. If you are reading it twice, you are wasting your time. Please remember that, guys. So our aim is to read the passage only once and find out our answers as we go along. So how to do that? You start reading the passage after reading the questions. You read ahead, and the moment you see one of your keywords being struck, right? Let's say you started, in the second paragraph they talked about LPG reforms. So you saw LPG reforms, you stop there, you slow down, you mark that important in your rough piece of paper, and you mark there that this is my answer for question number 1, right? So you read it, you put down important points, and that is your answer for question number 1. You move ahead, you find your question number 2, you might find the answer for question number 2 and you put it there, right? You write the important points on the rough piece of paper as you go along. Number 4, you find your answers like that, and then you go to your answers, and when you are drafting your answers, you just look at the rough piece of paper where you have jotted down the important points, and you use those points to frame your answer then. So that is a smart approach to attempt reading comprehension, right? So read the questions before the passage, mark the keywords and memorize them. Try to recognize the main idea of the passage, as I just told you. I just give you an example. The main idea, the central idea of the passage was, the whole passage would be revolving around the changes in Indian economy, right? Up till 1990s, what was the state of Indian economy, and what happened after 1990s, after LPG reforms and all that, right? So what were the impacts of that? So I know the central idea that prepares me mentally for the comprehension. Then you should know what you have to look for. So when you are consciously looking for your keywords, that makes it easy for you to find out your answers, right? Then while reading the passage, look for the keywords that you have marked in the questions. Avoid getting stuck anywhere, because that would lead to deduction of marks. If you do not understand anything, you can quickly skip that one sentence which may be difficult to you, but you can understand the rest of the passage, right? So avoid getting stuck and mark the important points of each paragraph. That is very, very important, guys. See, I told you this in Pressy writing as well. When you are reading the passage, in your rough piece of paper, the rough sheet of paper that would be given to you in the exam, write down important points from every paragraph. That is a very good habit as you go along and as you go further. That will help you to to get originality in your answers. You know why? Because if you do not mark down important points, if you just read the passage and if you are referring to the lines of the author, you tend to recreate them, right? You tend to copy them, and that is human nature, right? But if you mark down important points in your own words in a rough piece of paper, that, and then when you frame your answer from that, that will give you originality in your answer. So that is a very good habit, And I hope you would start doing that. Try it once so that you are able to understand the importance of this, right? Now, what sort of questions you may face in the paper? Now, guys, basically you would be you can face two types of questions. One are inference based questions and other are fact based questions, factual questions, right? So let's understand both and let's try to understand what is the difference between them. Now, inference based questions, now these are tricky ones and they require the candidates to understand the passage carefully to answer them. Now, in such questions, a logical conclusion has to be made which perfectly fits that context and represents a particular fact aptly. Questions based on inference reasoning can be what can be inferred from this sentence. Let's say they highlight the one part and then they ask the students what can be inferred from this sentence with respect to the passage. So you would be required to elaborate around that sentence, or what does this sentence imply, or what does the author mean by this line. So these are inference based questions where you would be required to infer the answer in your own understanding of that one phrase or one paragraph, right? So in inference questions, candidates need to identify inference source, right? Where you are you are targeting your answer, and understand the context thoroughly. If a particular sentence is given, read the entire paragraph and check for particular clues. So if it is given that you have to read a second paragraph or third paragraph, then read the entire paragraph and check for particular clues that you can include in your answer. Now, answering these questions can be easy if the context and idea of the entire passage are properly understood. So that makes it very easy if you're able to comprehend the passage easily. So inference based questions are not factual questions which will be based on a fact given on the passage or some facts given in the passage. It would be based on your inference skill, right? They would mark that, okay, what could be inferred from this line or these two lines or this paragraph, and you would be required to write around what you have understood from from that one paragraph or from those couple of lines. So that is inference based questions. Now, second is paragraph and sentence based questions. So what are paragraph and sentence based questions, or you can call them factual questions? So in the RC section, questions might also be asked related to a particular paragraph or structure of the passage. Now, these questions test the candidate's intuitive and logical sense, right? For example, the measures taken by the organization. Let's say in one paragraph, they had mentioned all the measures taken by the organization, and you need to present those measures. So what you have to do is you have to read that whole paragraph, mark the measures taken by the government, the benefit of those measures, and then present them in your own elaborative sense, right? Or they can also say the second paragraph criticizes what, right? Or the third paragraph describes what. So these are also paragraph based or factual questions which are based on concrete facts that are given in the passage. So to solve these questions, candidates are required to comprehend each paragraph properly. I mean, each passage is in sense, each paragraph properly, and keep the key ideas in mind. So you need to keep the key ideas of all the paragraphs in mind. It is suggested to pay attention to certain definite words like ironically, although, but, etc. Now, these shape the idea of the passage and are extremely crucial to represent a particular passage. So they, we do see contradictions put in the paragraphs, put in the passage by the author in different paragraphs. So you need to read them very carefully, and you need to understand what has been comprehensively presented by the author in this paragraph or in this passage. So these are two types of questions that you would face in the paper, and these are the questions, these are sort of the questions that you would be required to prepare for, right? So that was the fundamentals. These were the fundamentals of reading comprehension, right? Now, before we move ahead, I would like to point out 5 very common mistakes that aspirants make when they are appearing in the exam. So guys, I have marked down 5 mistakes you need not make while answering comprehension questions. Number 1, your answer should be grammatically apt, grammatically correct. There should be no typos. There should be no spelling or punctuation error in your reading comprehension answers. So first of all, your language, your presentation should be absolutely perfect. Next, the word limit. Now students generally ask me, sir, there is no word limit for reading comprehension, so how much should we write, right, for every answer? So let me give you a simple rule to understand this. there is a simple rule that we follow here. I mean, in general, that is, for 1 mark you have to write 10 words. For 1 mark you have to write 10 words. So let's say there are 5 questions for 40 marks. That means every question, let's say there are 5 questions for 40 marks, right? So that means every question is for 8 marks, right? So for in this scenario, if every question is 8 marks, worth 8 marks, then I would be writing around 70 to 80 words per answer, right? Let's assume there are only 4 questions for 40 marks. So that means every question is for 10 marks, right? Now I would be writing around 90 to 100 words per answer. So if I'm writing 90 to 100 words per answer, that means if I'm writing 4 questions, that is somewhat around 400 words. So in a way, you are writing another essay. So if you compare logically, your essay would be around 400 words, and this is also around 400 words, right? So this, you need to understand, this is required. See, even if you have written everything that was given in the passage, but if you do not meet the if you do not reach ample word limit in your answers, you will not be able to score well. See, I told you, because the psychology of reading comprehension is all about elaboration skills. Pressy was about contraction skills. Reading comprehension is about elaboration skills. So a simple rule to understand this: for 1 mark you have to write 10 words. So guys, please give me a confirmation if it is clear to you, yes or no, that this is a general rule, that how much should we write. So it's a simple rule that I have come up with: for 1 mark write 10 words. That's to be safe, right? So if it's a, let's say there are 3 questions for 40 marks, that means every question is for around 13 or 14 marks. So you would be writing more than 100 or 120 words, right? If you're writing 4 questions, 90 to 100 words. If you're writing 5 questions, 70 to 80 words. So that will do justice to your answers in this paper, right? And that is what is required of you. So word limit, make sure that you follow this rule in reading comprehension. For 1 mark you have to write 10 words. See, not all the topics, Sagma, Galis, Sagma. See, there's a mix of topics that are given to you, that is given to you in the paper, and these topics are based on different verticals altogether. One topic would be based on economic and social issue. One would be based on current affair based topic. One would be based on finance and economy. One would be based on your generic day-to-day life topic or management based topic. For example, importance of management skills or communication skills in your office or in your workplace. Or for example, last year there was a topic, very generic topic, which was which was a quotation from Albert Einstein, which said, war cannot be peace cannot be achieved through war. It can only be achieved through understanding. So you also face such questions. So for such topic, you do not need any current affairs, I think, right? So you need to prepare accordingly. You need to prepare for all the verticals, right? But if you're talking about current affairs, yes, for the past 6 months, that should do, right? Or important things, for example, COP27, right? Important thing which is going on, right? Let's say what, e-rupee, which was probably launched a little earlier, but it is still in news, right? UPI payment system, right? So these topics are obviously, they're not maybe in the recent news, but they are very important for this year. So you have to think about what this one particular year entails, right? So when RBI exam was conducted last year, after that, which are the important topics that you need to cover for this year? So you should look at it this way, right? All right, guys. Third mistake that you need to avoid is copying text from the passage. If you copy and paste, please remember, guys, your papers, it in your exams, in your answers, it will lead to deduction of marks if you copy and paste sentences from the passage. Students think that in between the answer, I'll just pick out 1 or 2 sentences and put them as they are in the passage. I can guarantee you that will lead to deduction of marks. So do not copy text from the passage. It is a strict no in this, right? The answer should be in in your original words, in your own presentation. Then using information, opinions, assumptions not given in the passage. Another thing that you need to understand, you cannot add any information, any opinion, any assumption that is not given in the passage. You cannot do that in reading comprehension. I'll give you an example. For example, let's say a passage was given on on Silicon Valley Bank, right? On the on how it has it has seen how it has plummeted in the recent time. Then the passage also talked about the high rate of inflation and the debt ceiling that America is about to reach, right? So let's say the passage was all about that, and in the question there was a question, what are the underlying reasons of high rates of inflation in the world, right? So if there was nothing mentioned about Ukraine Russia war in the passage, but you feel that okay, this is another reason for inflation in the world and I should put it there, and if you do put it there, it would be wrong. So any information that is not given in the passage, that cannot be inferred from the passage, must not be written in the answers. It should not be included in your answers. So please do not add any opinion, do not put any assumption, or do not use any information that is not given in the passage. It has to be strictly based on the information given in the passage. You can infer anything from the information given in the passage, but not beyond that. And last, your answer should be relevant. That means do not just write for the sake of writing. Please make your answers relevant. They have to be information. They have to be full of information. They should present the thesis of the author in your own words, right? So these are 5 common mistakes that I tend to see students making every time, and I wanted to highlight these to you so that you fix this before you start practicing for it, right? Now Rohan has a very good question. So should we write answers in only paragraphs, or should we write answers in bullet points? See, I was coming to that as well. See, you can use both ways of presentation in reading comprehension, but the point is, it actually, the ideal answer is, it depends on the question, Rohan. See, you have to see what sort of a question it is. If it is an inferential question, like for example, if the question says, what can be inferred from the passage, or what can be inferred from this paragraph? Now, for such an answer, you need to be writing in paragraphs, right? Because you would be creating an answer which is organically connected. So this answer would require paragraphs. But let's say there is another question which is factual. Let's say the question is, what are the steps and measures taken by the government to revive the Indian economy after COVID-19, right? So, and you find that there are 5-6 measures that have been put in place by the government, and these were given in different paragraphs. Now in such a question, while you are answering, now you can use bullet points as well, right? So what you can do is, there are many steps that have been put in place to provide recovery to the Indian economy, right, after COVID-19, and some of these measures are, then you can write your points in bullets or numbers as well. But see, this is what you need to remember, Rohan and everyone, that even if you are writing your answers in bullet points, please make sure that you write complete sentences. Please make sure that you do not just write bullet points there. So what I've seen students doing is, there are many measures that have been taken by the government, which are as follows. Number 1, providing monetary push. Point number 2, giving moratorium to to banks. Number 3, delay of interest payment, or let's say delay of payment interest, right? So this is wrong. This should not be done, because if you write incomplete points, that would lead to deduction of marks. So even if you are writing bullet points, write complete sentences. So as I told you, there are many steps that have been put in place by the government after COVID-19 for the revival of the economy. Some of these are: number 1, the government has allocated 30,000 crore rupees for the revival of the MSME sector. So that should be point number 1. Then point number 2, the government has decided to provide moratorium to the loans, or to the banks, or to, let's say, non-performing assets during the time. So even if you're writing your answer in bullet points, it should be written in complete sentences. Got it, Rohan? So yes, this applies for all papers. For phase 2, not for phase 1, for phase 2, yes, this applies for all the papers. Any reading comprehension that you are attempting across the board, for NABARD, for RBI, for SEBI, PFRDA, IFSC, any descriptive, IBPS, any exam, any descriptive exam. So you need to understand the psychology. See, if they just want, guys, you need to understand this, guys. Why are they asking you reading comprehension again in phase 2 when they've already tested you on reading comprehension in phase 1? Please understand this. Why are they asking you reading comprehension once again in phase 2 when they've already tested you for reading comprehension in phase 1? What is the difference? What is the cycle? The difference is, in phase 1 you are only finding out the answers, the multiple choices that are given to you in the questions, right? You are only looking for those options. But in phase 2 you are not looking for choices, you are looking for elaborative content, the data, the information that is given at in different paragraphs in the passage, and you would be required to understand all that information and then present it in your own words. Got it? So that is the difference here. So this is the difference between phase 1 reading comprehension and phase 2 reading comprehension. Phase 1 is all about condensed objective answer finding or locating answers in the passage. This is about comprehending the passage and then presentation of the of the information given in the passage in your original words. So that is the key point of this. Got it? So you need to understand the difference between the two. So this comprehension passage is different from phase 1, right guys? So these were the 5 mistakes you need not, you should not, and you must not make in the paper, right? To give headings, you can give headings while answering. No, in reading comprehension you can give headings and subheadings. Like for example, what are the, let's say there is a question, Vinci, what are the pros and cons of digital currency? Let's say the passage was based on your Bitcoin and digital currency and all that, right? How blockchains are formed and how they're dynamic, and they can also be, they are not really based on any currency form. So let's say the passage discussed some pros and some cons of digital currency, and let's say there was a question, what are the pros and cons of digital currency? So what you can, how you can present your answer is, you can start, there are many there are many pros and many cons of digital currency, and and some of them are highlighted below, right? So you start like that, then you can give it a subtitle: pros, point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, then cons, point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, point number 4, and then you give a conclusion sentence. But looking at this, it can be said that at the end of the day, it is a baseless currency, and government should customize their own, or they should look at the dynamic state of the economy or of the country's health or whatever it is given, right? So you can use headings and subheadings, but do not write just bullet points. Please write complete sentences, right? That was what I wanted to convey. Please do not think that reading comprehension is about only answering the question. It is about elaboration. I've highlighted this point, guys. This reading comprehension is not just about answering the question. This is about elaboration. See, the skill that they would be testing you on. I told you this earlier as well. Prezi is about contraction skills. How well you can contract the passage in your own words. Whereas reading comprehension is about elaboration skills. How well you can infer the answer and how well you can elaborate it in your own words. So guys, please give me a confirmation if you have understood the difference, that reading comprehension is about elaboration skills. It's not about it's not just about answering the question, right? It's not that if you just write, if there are 5 points and you put 5 points there and you expect I should get 10 out of 10 because I've written all the 5 points, but you did not elaborate. Got it? So that is what they're looking for. Finding out the answer, but then elaboration in your own words. So please confirm it, everyone who's watching this, that yes, we have understood the difference, and we now understand, okay, what is the central key idea of this, right? What are we looking for here? And guys, if you like what we are doing here, please don't shy away from liking the session. So please press the like button. Please share this video so that it may reach someone out there who really needs it, right? I know that you've already liked the session, most of you have, but if somebody has forgotten to do that, and if people who are watching it later on, who are not watching it live, it's a humble request to like the session, because that is the least you can do for all the efforts that we are putting in for you, right? So we are doing this for you, for your preparation, for your benefit, for your endeavors ahead. So the least you can do is like the session and share it as much as you can, so that it may help anyone who really needs this, right? So got it. Perfect, guys. So these were the fundamentals of reading comprehension and the mistakes that you need to avoid when you are attempting your reading comprehension in the paper. Now, let's look at the 2022 paper. The passage that was given, it was based on FMC's, Forward Market Commission, and SEBI, right? So it was based on that, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 questions that were given. So there were 5 questions for 40 marks in this. So let's read the passage and let's try to see how you need to answer this question. So I'm not showing you the questions first. I'll just let you see, okay, what sort of passage you are given in the paper and what sort of questions are framed on it. And then what should be a sample answer, right, for those questions. So I'll read out the passage for you, and then you can look at the answers for the questions that has also been given. So the merger of the FMC's, Forward Market Commission, with SEBI, Security and Exchange Board of India. So the merger of FMC and SEBI is a major milestone for the commodity futures market in India. This idea is not new. It was floated seriously at least 12 years back when the commodity market was revived and 3 national level exchanges were in the field. So this is not a new idea. It was floated 12 years back when the commodity market was revived and 3 national level exchanges were in the field, like the Bombay Stock Exchange hoga, right, and then all that. In that time, it was felt that FMC should remain a separate entity given the unique nature of this market. The commodity market came under the regulation of the FMC and was guided by FCRA of 1952, with the FMC being a division of the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, right? MCA, Ministry of Consumer Affairs. So commodity market came under regulation of FMC, that is a Forward Market Commission, which was and was guided by the FCRA of 1952, with FMC being a division of Ministry of Consumer Affairs. The argument put forward was that the market was young and needed attention and expertise. It could not be treated as a financial instrument since it involved the physical delivery of goods, which in turn had a bearing on spot markets and prices. Therefore, MCA would have regulated by the APMC Acts, which fall within the jurisdiction of state governments, right? So therefore, the MCA would have been regulated by the APMC Acts, which fall within the jurisdiction of the state governments. So over the years, the market has matured. In between, there was a dent to the credibility of commodity markets with the NSCL failure, but the futures markets have carried on through this turmoil and emerged more resilient. There have also been controversies regarding their links with inflation, which has led to the banning of futures trading in specific commodities. Conditions have stabilized since, and there is evidently a need to take this market to a different level. On way of looking at commodity derivatives is like any other financial instrument, as is the case in several markets, including the US. Since India has separate regulatory structures, the FCRA and the SCRA Acts dealing with commodities and securities, integration would be required. The first step taken earlier was to bring the commodity futures market under the Ministry of Finance and, as an extension, merge the FMC with SEBI. So these were the all the let's say all the points which led to the merger of FMC with SEBI, right? So that has been talked about here. Now, what would this mean for the market? Now, what would this mean for the FMC? Commodity derivatives can now be looked upon as financial instrument and analogous to equity or debt. This will bring all derivatives under a single regulator, just like in the US, where the CFTC controls and regulates them. Now, this will be good news for brokers if there is integration in the two trading platforms. There will be some housekeeping to be done, as all brokers need to register with SEBI. Exchanges too have to comply with the net worth norms. Now, it is not known if the stock exchanges will be allowed to deal with commodities and vice versa for commodity exchanges. If permitted, there would be a further competition in both markets, leading to consolidation at some point of time, which is always the case for financial infrastructure. The major consideration is to ensure that risk from one market does not spill into the other. This was the primary reason for commodities being separated from securities, right? The consequence, however, was that the same broker firm would open a commodity outfit and then trade from the same office space under two banners. Now, with a single regulator now for both the markets, And hence also for the exchanges, this need to separate companies trading in two segments with a separate risk capital, right? The existing exchanges will definitely see a shakeout as stock exchanges venture into this space. It is unlikely, however, that in the absence of consolidation, they can make a useful dent in the business of existing players. This is so because historically it has been observed that exchanges tend to get specialized in specific products and generate liquidity to the extent that it is difficult to wean away the business. Hence, MCX retains primacy in bullion and energy while NCDEX dominates the agricultural spectrum. New exchanges have come and barely survived and more often than not been marginalized by the market forces. So guys, this was the passage, right? Now, I did not show you the questions just to prove to you that, okay, if you read the passage first without looking at the question, now when you go to the question, you would be again required to come back to the passage and find your answer. So it was a tricky passage for anybody who's not from commerce background. Honestly speaking, now it would be tricky for anyone who does not have a non-commerce background to understand all what has been conveyed here, right? At least in one reading. So that would be a problem for you. But see, if you are reading on a daily basis, if you know the basics of market, exchange, market, and all that forex, commodity exchanges and futures and all that investment done, so you would be able to grasp the concrete point of this. Why FMC was merged with SAB, what were the reasons for it, and how it intends to intends to stop same broker from creating two different commodities for two different exchanges, because both of them are put under one roof now, right? So let's look at the questions and let's look at the answers for this. Now, question number one, what sort of questions do you face in the paper? Why was the commodity market put under the regulation of the Forward Market Commission? Now, if you just look at this question, why was the commodity market put under the regulation of Forward Market Commission? Now, what would you do? You would again go back to the passage where was the FMC and the commodity market came under regulation was guided by FCRA 1952, being a division of the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. The argument put forward was that the market was young and needed attention and expertise, right? It could not be treated as a financial instrument since it involved physical delivery of goods, which in turn had a bearing on spot markets and prices. Therefore, MCA would have to be regulated by the APMC Acts, which fall under the jurisdiction of the state governments, right? Over the years, markets have matured. In between, there was a dent to the credibility of the market. Now, this is not required. This was the reason. So, see, guys, if you had read the questions beforehand, now you would be able to mark when you were reading the passage for the first time that, okay, this is my answer for question number one, right? So when you look at it this way, now concretely you would be able to mark your answers as you are reading the passage for the first time. So this will give you a lot of confidence as well. You are able to locate the answer, right? And you are not wasting any more time. So this is what you need to do. So the commodity market came under the regulation of MC and was guided by, see, I have just taken the paragraph and put here the paragraph. Now this is not the real answer that you need to write. This is something that you need to write upon. Now obviously everyone would write in their own way, in their own meaning, but yes, this is something that was the answer, and you need to present it in your own words. So it came under regulation of FMC, was guided by being a division of the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. I told you this is the answer, right? So this is the answer taken from the passage. This is not the answer you need to provide, right? This is the given information given in the passage. You need to present this information in your own words, right? So that was the point. Second question, what will be the impact of the merger of FMC with SEBI? Now, the first step taken earlier was to bring commodity futures market under the finance of ministry, and as an extension, merge FMC with SEBI. Commodity derivatives can now be looked upon as financial instrument analogous to equity or debt. This will bring all derivatives under a single regulator, just like in the US, where CFTC controls and regulates them. This will be good news for brokers if there is an integration of the two platforms. There will be some housekeeping to be done, as all brokers need to register with SEBI. Exchanges too have to comply with the net worth norms. It is not known if the stock exchanges will be allowed to deal with the commodities and vice versa for commodity exchanges. If permitted, there would be further competition in both markets, leading to consolidation at some point of time, which is always the case for financial infrastructure. So what will be the impact of the merger? These were the impacts that were mentioned in the passage. So these points were given in different paragraphs, right? So I have taken out the points and put it here. Now you need to read upon them and then present it in your own answer, in your own way, right? Then third question, why was the decision for separating commodities from securities taken? So why was the decision for separating commodities from securities taken? Now it is not known if the stock exchanges will be allowed to deal with commodities and vice versa for commodity exchanges. If permitted, there would be further competition in both markets, leading to consolidation at some point of time, which is always the case for financial infrastructure. The major consideration is to ensure that risk from one market does not spill into the other. And this was the primary reason for commodities being separated from securities. So you have to pick out points from different paragraphs and then present your answer, collating the points and consolidating them together to present your answer, right? Then what were the consequences of separating commodities from securities? Now there will be some housekeeping to be done, as all brokers need to register with SEBI. Exchanges too have to comply with the net worth norms. Now the consequence, however, was that the same broker firm would open a commodity outfit and then trade from the same office space under two banners. With a single regulator now for both the markets and hence also for the exchanges, this need to separate companies trading in two segments with separate risk capital. So these were the consequences of separating commodities from securities. And last question, what will be the impact of existing changes on stock exchanges? So what will be the impact of existing changes on the stock exchange? Now, the existing exchanges will definitely see a shakeout as stock exchanges venture into this space. It is unlikely, however, that in the absence of consolidation, they can make a useful dent in the business of existing players. This is so because historically it has been observed that the exchanges tend to get specialized in specific products and generate liquidity to the extent that it is difficult to wean away business. Hence, MCX retains primacy in bullion and energy, while NCDEX dominates the agriculture spectrum. New exchanges have come and barely survived, and more often than not been marginalized by the market force. So that has been the impact of the existing changes on stock exchange. So this was the passage that was given in the year 2022, guys. So I hope you've understood this and what you need to do in your answers, right? How you need to elaborate on the point, and then how you need to do justice to the word limit of these descriptive answers. So you need to elaborate. You need to write at least 10 words for 1 mark in these questions, and you need to present it in your original words. Got it, guys? So that was about reading comprehension. These were the fundamentals of reading comprehension. Now, in the next session, we will be discussing tips and tricks to draft your answers, right? And then followed by how to write the answers and how to draft them. We'll also practice that. So guys, please do let me know in the comment section, how was the session? Was it useful for you? Was it beneficial to understand the key concepts of reading comprehension? And was I able to highlight the fundamentals of RC or not? So do let me know your constructive inputs, your feedbacks in the comment section of the video. And if you like the session, if you found it useful, please please press the like button, and please share the video. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe. You will get a lot of beneficial insights into your drafting skills, into your articulation for phase 2. Right? If you want the PDF of this session, the link for our Telegram group has been given in the description, at the very bottom of the description of the video. You can scroll down in the you can just press the arrow button, and you can scroll down and you can join our Telegram group, and you will find many such PDFs, and this also in that channel, in that group, and you can get benefited from those PDFs. Okay, thank you for your input, Rohan. We'll definitely try to look into this. No homework passage for today, Bhuvan. I'll give you a homework passage for for reading comprehension in the next session. Today I only wanted to discuss the fundamentals, right? So thank you, Bhuvan. Thank you, Ronak, for the kind words. So guys, any input that you want to share, please feel free to do that. Please do let me know what you would like to what you would like to do us for you, what you would like us to do for your for your journey, for your endeavors ahead. And we have planned many more things which are in the pipeline. So as time progresses, we will bring them out to you, and they will definitely be beneficial for your journey ahead. See, the whole point is to create the ecosystem to support you in every way possible. Even if you are able to join us, you are able to enroll with us or not, we still want to help each and everyone out there, right? That is our real intent. And by this, why are we running descriptive English sessions now? Because we always felt, see, to prepare for phase 2, you cannot start after phase 1. That is already too late. So if you want to prepare for phase 2, you need to take baby steps before phase 1 itself. So you balance your week by allocating weekdays to phase 1 and weekends to phase 2, so that you get into the habit of typing, you get into the habit of drafting your answers. You have the skill set to frame your answer, you have the ability to draft your answers in 90 minutes, complete the paper with no errors, no mistakes, no punctuations or typos for that matter, and then you draft your answers well. So that needs a lot of experience, or that needs a lot of input, and that is why we started proactively this time, and we are coming up with these sessions for you so that we are able to help you in this journey ahead, right? Thank you, Vinci. Thank you, Rohan, for the kind words. So guys, if you have any doubts, if you have any queries, please feel free to contact us during the office hours on this number, 8146207241. And we have a dedicated support team that will definitely try to help you out. And if you want to share anything, or if you want to drop a feedback, you can drop it on this address, hello@edutap.co.in. Right? And if you want to check out our courses, the links are given in the description of the video as well, or you can visit our website as well, which is www.edutap.co.in. So it's a weekend. I would like you to try some descriptive answers, some essays, some précis. So try doing that right on the weekend. And on next Tuesday, right, I'll come up with a homework passage, reading comprehension passage, with questions, with everything like that for you in the session itself, like I have been doing it. But today I only wanted to highlight the fundamentals, so that you understand, okay, what needs to be done here, how it is different from phase 1, how it is different from précis writing passage, and what are the key points, the inherent key points that you need to remember when you're drafting your answers, right? So that was it for today, guys. I hope you liked the session. I hope it was useful for you. So every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, I'll be here at least for the next 1 week. So I'll be here with you 8 a.m. in the morning on the same channel, and we'll be discussing more such sessions. We'll be taking more such sessions on reading comprehension and descriptive English, in together as a whole, right? So thank you so much for joining. I have received your email, Bhuvan, but I'll not be able to evaluate your précis individually, guys. I really apologize, because we are running, we are very, very busy. RBI exam is just around the corner. We were just busy with IFSCA a couple of days ago. Then we have other exams coming up, UPSC, EPFO. So we do not have a lot of time free on our hands, right? So I really apologize. I'll not be able to evaluate your précis writings individually. Whatever you want to write to me, you can drop it in the comment section of the video. I'll read it out. And I'll read it and I'll let you know my opinion about it. Was it good, bad, or it was average, or what needs to be done in the session itself? But I'll not be able to do it individually. So I apologize for that, Bhuvan, right? Because it is really, really impossible. There are countless mails that we receive every day, and it would be impossible for me to evaluate all of them, right? I know that, see, but I told you my problem, Bhuvan. I do understand your issue. Just copy it and paste it in your Word document in your mobile phone, and then copy it from that, and then try to put it in the comment section. Yes, I did read that, Ronak. It was a very good précis. I think I did reply to that as well. I did like your précis a lot, and many others who also wrote the précis, they all wrote very well. Maybe there was one student who tried too much into the specifics of the passage, but most of you did very well. You kept to the core of the passage, and the précis that you wrote were very well filtered, very well very enriching. They were very, very good to read actually. In the way you presented the title and everything, it was very well written. So keep up the good work, keep on practicing, guys, and I'll keep on coming up with more such practice homework passages for you, so that you can try everything at home. So you don't need to run from pillar to post to check anything or to find out anything beyond this. So if you cover, your descriptive English from these 12 sessions, I think after this what you would require is only practice. Nothing beyond that would be required. So practice and in simulation of the interface. So if you do that, I think you would be ready for descriptive English after this, right? So thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for your precious time. Keep up the good work, guys. Keep on working hard. Stay connected, and always move in the positive direction. Your mindset should be very positive. As the exam is approaching, you may start feeling the anxiety, the anxiousness, the butterflies in the stomach, but that is the whole point. That is the whole game, to fight that anxiety, right? And to perform under pressure. That is the whole point of this paper. So I wish you all the very best. Keep up the good work, guys. I'll see you again on next Tuesday. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy learning to all of you guys.